Hi, I'm Ken Suddith, and this is another edition of Legal Lions. And today we're back with my good friend Gregory Sandler. This is your second edition of Legal Lions, but today we're going to be talking about a very life-changing, potentially, issue, which is hit-and-run accidents. So first I'll say that Gregory Sandler is with the Law Tigers, which is at Kalfus and Nachman in Norfolk, Virginia. I know you have other offices which you can tell us about. But at this point, Greg, let me just throw it to you. If you would tell us a little bit, give us a little background about yourself once again, even though people may have seen the first episode with you. But once again, bring us up to speed and then tell us a little bit about this issue that we're going to be talking about.
Well, thanks, Ken, for inviting me back. It must have not been too terrible for the first experience. So we're going to try it again for giving information out to people that need it so that they can protect themselves. I do work with Kalfus and Nachman. I'm one of the staff attorneys. I am responsible for the Law Tigers program, which particularly is focused on representing injured motorcyclists throughout Virginia, Maryland, and North Carolina in certain parts. But the focus of all of our work is helping injured people to get their lives back after they've been hurt by the negligence of someone else. Hit and run is a very important subject. It's one, surprisingly, that comes up more than I would like to hear. A hit and run circumstance. First of all, I want to make sure that people understand I am not here to discuss the criminal aspects of somebody's responsibility if they strike someone and they leave the scene. I will leave that to one of your other guests, Chad Dorsk, who is an expert on criminal work. My focus is on trying to find a way to make sure that you get treated fairly for your injuries, you get compensated for your harm when you don't know who has caused your injury. And that's the context of most hit and run circumstances.
Very good. Well, so I guess one question I would have is how common are these hit and run accidents? I just saw a post the other day where someone was asking for help about their car that had been hit when it was just parked in front of their house. But is this something that we see frequently in our area especially?
It's surprisingly troubling that we do see it on more occasions than we would like. And here's the frequent scenario. You're driving, imagine you're in a car, you're driving down the road, you're driving straight, you see ahead of you an intersection coming up, and there's a car off to the right, stopped at a stop sign. And you rightfully assume they're going to stop. They see you. As you get to the intersection, the car pulls right out in front of you and you smash into the side of the car. And there's an explosion. The airbag blows up. There's smoke. There's noise. There is a stunning effect on your head. And 5-6 seconds later, the bag deflates. You gather your wits and there's no car. Where the hell did he go? What happened? Who hit me? And there you are with the beginning of what could be a very traumatic physical injury experience, sometimes permanent injury. And your instant thought is, what do I do now? Who's the bad guy? Where's the bad guy? That's John Doe. When we talk the rest of the day today, John Doe is our bad guy. That is the person who did not stay at the scene, who did not leave information, and now you have to try and figure out, what do I do now?
Well, with that being said, then, when that occurs, what are the insurance/legal ramifications of something like that? Who takes care of it when that person's gone and you don't know John Doe or where they are?
That's the critical point. That is the problem. In the ordinary circumstance where a client is injured and we know who the wrongful party is, we know who the defendant might be, we contact their insurance company. They step up to the plate. They discuss with us the availability of coverage, and we submit the client's medical information and their lost wage information. We send all the data for their harms and losses, and we try and settle their case. Well, what happens if there's nobody to talk to? And that's where uninsured motorist coverage is critical. In Virginia, everybody who buys a policy, and now in Virginia, automobile liability insurance is mandatory as a result of a change in the law. Everyone who buys a liability insurance policy automatically gets uninsured motorist coverage with it. It's part of the statute. When you buy a policy, the minimum limits in Virginia currently are $50,000 of liability coverage if you cause somebody harm. What you also get is $50,000 of uninsured motorist coverage, which is there to step into the shoes of John Doe to cover your injury if there is nobody that you can go after. And that's why uninsured motorist coverage is the singular most important thing you can do before a crash to protect yourself and your passenger and your family, because after the crash, it's too late. And so my caution to everyone all the time is buy as much insurance as you can get. And it does not cost twice as much money to get $100,000 in coverage as $50,000. So when you go to online, nowadays everybody buys their insurance online, or when you talk to an agent, tell them you want $100,000 in coverage, $200,000 in coverage for liability and uninsured motorist, because then you can get in your car and you can drive knowing that, God forbid, somebody causes you harm, you at least have that much money available to try and get your life back.
So with that said, what do you think is the best time for someone to contact an attorney about a situation like that? You've been in a hit and run accident. Should you immediately call a lawyer? What do you recommend?
Well, the first thing I would caution people or advise people is absolutely give us a call before you even get your policy, before you have the need to use your coverage. If you have questions about what you should get, what you can get, call us. Call an attorney, call Kalfus and Nachman, call someone who is experienced in injury litigation. And the reason being is when you call an insurance company or you call an agent or you go online, they're going to give you the, oh, you have full coverage speech. And what that means is that they have sold you the bare minimum that's allowing you to legally drive on the roads in Virginia. And that doesn't do anything for your future. So first, call us before you need us. And secondly, always call an attorney, call an experienced personal injury attorney after your accident before you even consider talking to an insurance company.
Oh, okay.
When you call, and most people think, oh, I've been in an accident, I have to call my own insurance company and report it.
Right.
Your own insurance company, absent the hit and run circumstance, has nothing to do with your claim, generally speaking. In the case of a hit and run, your insurance company is actually the bad guy's insurance company. They are coming into the picture for John Doe, not for you. They're not there to be fair to you. They don't care that you've sent them premiums for decades. They're there to save their own money and not pay you. So when you get on the phone with them, they're going to interview you to get information that they can use against you. They want to find a way to not pay. And what better way is to get on the phone and tell you how sorry they are this has happened to you, and they're going to try and make it right. And if you would just tell them how much your emergency room bill is, they'll be happy to send you a check. And they are absolutely not being fair. That's my generous way of describing their attitude.
Well, that is good information. So now that we've discussed sort of the insurance legal ramifications, is there anything else about that specific category we should say before we move to this next one I have?
Well, one thing that people are unaware of, and it's a huge benefit in Virginia because our adjacent states do not have this. Not only do you receive uninsured motorist benefits under the vehicle policy that you were driving, you also get coverage on any other vehicle that you own. For example, I have many clients on a motorcycle. Somebody turns left across their path and they hit the brakes and they lock the bike up and it goes down, and they may not even make contact with the other car. So the first policy in line to pay their uninsured motorist claim is their motorcycle policy, their bike policy. And if their injury is more than the insurance limits would properly cover, then we look to whether our biker has a car at home in his garage or a pickup truck on the street. And that policy covers him as well. We have a saying in the law that your uninsured motorist coverage is glued to your body wherever you go. And so your auto policy stacks on top of your motorcycle policy. And if you happen to live with your parents or live with a brother or sister, you automatically are insured on their policy for uninsured motorist coverage. So now we take your bike policy, we stack the uninsured motorist coverage on your car policy, and we stack the uninsured motorist on your mother's policy. And then we add to that your brother's policy because everybody's living in the same household. And finally, we get to a pot that's big enough to treat you fairly. And people don't realize that they need this coverage on all of their vehicles, particularly my biker clients. When my motorcycle clients go down, it's devastating. And the injuries many times are life-altering, and there's a lot of times not enough coverage available. And let me mention one other thing to you, because it does happen more in the motorcycle world than in the automobile accident world. When you have a hit and run context, and there's no contact between the vehicles, as I described, the bike locks up, the brakes cause the rear wheel to go one direction or the other, the bike slides on the ground, and the rider is separated from the bike, but there's no contact. Oftentimes, the driver of the car who caused the crisis doesn't even know he's been involved in an accident. And they leave the scene because they don't even know that they've caused the problem. If there is no contact, then notifying the insurance company and notifying law enforcement is a requirement of the law in order to document the event before you can even make a UM claim, an uninsured motorist claim. When there's contact, it's much easier to establish what happened. So in that one limited circumstance, it's critical to call the police. It's something I've talked about before in the last podcast, the need to call the police at the scene.
Okay, well, that leads me to my next kind of series of questions. And my thought is, what do you do immediately after this kind of terrible situation has happened? Let's say I'm driving, another vehicle hits me and takes off. What are some of the very first things I should do, along with what you just said? But what are the very first things I should do?
Well, most of what you're trying to do at the scene of any crash, whether the defendant is there or not, is to establish the facts that allow me to prove fault. You need to help me to help you. And at the scene, taking pictures, if you get the chance, of the vehicle before it leaves, getting the license plate number if you can, getting a photo of the defendant if you can, in addition to things like calling the police to the scene. If you need medical attention, absolutely call 911, call EMS to get the care that you need. What we have seen is such a variety of things that happen at an accident scene. I have recently a client, young lady, who was riding her bike with a friend on her bike, and they had stopped at a light. And the person behind them just misjudged the light, rolled up and hit them both, knocked her off the bike. And they were standing there next to him, and he simply backed his car up and went around both bikes and took off down the street and made a right-hand turn. It was vanished. And there would have been enough time, had they had presence of mind, to take a picture of him or take a picture of the car or something that helps. If you are fortunate enough, nowadays a lot of people do, to have GoPro cameras in your car, or on your helmet if you're riding, or if you're on a bike, you oftentimes have it on your handlebars. That is of huge benefit to establish what happens, because as they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words and a video is worth 1,000,000 words. So those are the things at the scene that you can try and do to get us information. Do not be surprised if the police are not bending over backwards to try and find your John Doe. My experience, unfortunately, is that the police have a lot to do. And unless there's a catastrophic injury, or unless there is something particularly egregious, they will not do but so much to try and find the driver of a car. Finding the owner of the car doesn't solve your problem about finding the driver of the car. But the owner of the car is whose insurance policy comes first. So if we can establish from a license plate who the owner is, then we at least perhaps have an insurance company to go after, and then we mitigate the problem of the uninsured motorist.
Well, what about people that are on the scene, are witnesses? What role can that play, and I, as the victim, do about that?
That's an excellent point. A lot of people come to me and tell me, well, the police officer talked to all the witnesses at the scene and they have their names and their contact information. And when we issue Freedom of Information Act requests to the police department, we don't find any of that. The police are there to investigate potential traffic ordinances, criminal offenses, things that would require their involvement. They are not there necessarily to collect evidence to help a civil attorney get their client treated fairly. So please don't rely on them. If you do speak to someone, if someone comes to your aid or if someone says to you that they have seen it, get their name, get their phone number. You'd be surprised how often, contrary to what people believe, people are willing to help someone who appears to really be in need of help. It's kind of heartwarming sometimes when I talk to a witness and they bend over backwards to try and give me information that helps my client who's a perfect stranger to them.
Well, we have about a minute left, so let me do just a quick lightning round, which might cover some of the things we talked about already. But question number one in the lightning round, should you ever leave the scene of an accident because you're afraid?
I'm not going to tell people to leave the scene because we don't know who is going to believe that they are the liable party. The person who caused the accident may feel like you're the person at fault. And if you leave the scene, you might find yourself being charged with leaving as well. However, don't ever put yourself in jeopardy. If you are at an accident scene and someone is volatile, someone is threatening, then your safety comes first.
So if you're involved in something that seems to you to be fairly minor, can you just exchange phone numbers and names and then leave?
Exchanging the information is not sufficient to me because unfortunately people lie. If you have the opportunity to take a picture of somebody's driver's license, if you have the opportunity to take a picture of their car, picture of the license plate, you do not need ambulance assistance. You do not need police assistance to get your vehicle towed or to help you diffuse a volatile situation. Then as long as you have enough information to help you, then you may be able to dispense with it. However, in my opinion, you should always call the police. It's important to document what happened, date, time, place, location, and talking to the police is valuable to us. When I get body-worn cam video from police officers and they are interviewing the parties at the scene, you'd be surprised what people say when they're on the spot and they're honest and they haven't had a chance to go home and say, oh my God, I just implicated myself, so now I need to change my story when I call my insurance company. So absolutely call the police.
So step one, if let's say they hit my parked vehicle in a parking lot someplace, I should file a police report first before I call your office and definitely before I call my insurance company.
If there is no bodily injury claim because you weren't in the vehicle, then it's not likely you're going to need to involve an attorney. If you call your insurance company, that's who you are looking to get your property damage paid by under the uninsured motorist provisions of your policy. They may request that you file a police report so that there can be some documentation of what happened. I believe firmly that the police are your friends when you need official record of what happened. And whether it is in a parking lot, whether it's in your driveway and it's property only, or whether you are at the scene of a terrible traffic accident, you need the police there to help document. I will say, however, many times in a parking lot, the police will not come. The police oftentimes will not respond to a private property incident that is just a property damage claim. So you might find some reluctance if you try and call 911 and it's only a property damage claim in a private parking lot.
Okay, so God forbid anyone watching, hopefully you've not been involved in a situation like this, but if you ever are involved in a hit and run accident and you need some legal guidance, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
The best way is to call us at Kalfus and Nachman. Our number is 461-4900. And that is area code 757. You can call the Hurt line. I'm certain you've heard of us on our multitude of advertisement and marketing. You can go to our website and get information there at kalfusandnachmanlaw.com. But don't hesitate to call. A call is free. You're welcome to talk to an attorney, talk to one of our intake people, talk to our counselors to find out exactly what you need to do. And my parting message is always going to be, when you turn off this podcast, look at your automobile liability policy. Look at the line that says uninsured motorist and get on the phone with your agent and get the coverage you need to protect yourself, because it's too late after the accident happens.
Well, thanks very much, Greg. And you heard it. So if you have any injury or needs like this, please remember to contact the team at Law Tigers at Kalfus and Nachman. And also, if you enjoyed today's episode, please like and subscribe on both YouTube or Spotify. You can find us on Facebook as well. But remember that these conversations with these attorneys, we're here to help you protect your rights. So please let us know what you'd like to see, and we'll try to get attorneys that cover those as well. So thanks very much. This has been another episode of Legal Lions.